Hi everyone, my name is Jameson, and this is my very first Amazon.com video review, hopefully the first of many. I'd appreciate any feedback or comments that you have after the video, so without further ado, let's get right into it. This is the Blue Yeti microphone. It is about under $100 most of the time. Prices seem to fluctuate. It does have a Pro version, but don't assume that, oh, I need the Pro and everything else is garbage. That's not quite the case. I've had mostly good experiences with this microphone, and none of the problems I've had with it have been due to quality. It's been very good. It records up to 48 kilohertz and 16 bits, so not bad at all. The Pro does do considerably higher at 192 kilohertz and 24 bit, but honestly, I think this is just a great mic if you're streaming, if you are mixing video, or on Skype. It's just such a good mic for that. So what I'm going to do is cover a little bit about the outside, and I'm also going to give you my pros and cons at the end of the video. So frequently throughout the video, I may be referencing the box. I'm not going to do an unboxing video because we've all seen styrofoam, and it's not that exciting, I understand. But the box does have some very interesting graphics on it that may be helpful, like this image of the tri-capsule array. That allows you to do some pretty interesting things, but I'll make sure to get images to throw up and show you that. Throw up. Anyway, I'm not mature. So on the front of the microphone, we have our mute button, and that's pretty self-explanatory. That stops the audio from going through. And they actually did the mute button pretty well. A lot of my mics, when you hit the mute button, it introduces a very loud pop into the signal. This didn't seem to do that, and I really like that. This volume knob is not the gain. The gain is actually on the back, but this volume knob is for the zero latency monitoring on the bottom there. You can actually plug in a pair of headphones and monitor without any latency what you're saying. So a lot of people do seem to prefer doing this through their computer, but if you really want to shave the milliseconds and you want to hear it true, you do have that option. I've actually recorded using that 3.5 headphone jack before, so it's nice to have those options. Turning it around here, we have the back, and this whole review is being recorded from the microphone itself, just to give you an idea of the audio quality. It's in cardioid mode right now, so I apologize if it trails off and on throughout the video since I'm turning the microphone. So you have your gain switch, which I'm not sure the exact stats on how high that goes or how low. I'll throw them up in the video, and man, I say throw up a lot. I'm apologizing for that right now. You can see there's 4 recording patterns, and I'm going to go ahead and switch this to stereo. And stereo, pretty self-explanatory. You can do left, and I cannot snap with my left hand, and you can do right. So this is cool and just makes you sound a little more omniscient. There are other applications for it as well. Personally, I do not use this very much, just because mono seems to work just fine for me. We all heard omni, or the cardioid, so I'm going to go to omnidirectional. Omnidirectional picks up everything equally. That entire array is being put to work. So if you wanted to record the ambiance of a room or a forest or something, you could do that. So you're probably hearing not a forest or deer frolicking right now, but you could probably hear the fans on my computer, my TV humming a little bit. So omnidirectional does have its uses, but again, such a versatile microphone. You can use this for so many things. This is bidirectional. I actually used this last week for an interview with someone. That would be picking up the front and the back as well. So I'm at the front of the microphone, and now I'm at the side, and now I'm at the back of it. So you can see that it definitely does filter out the noise on the sides. And I thought it was just I thought it was a name only pretty much. I thought it was just going to be omnidirectional basically. But it really does matter, and it filters out a lot of the side. And I thought that was really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to omnidirectional, and then we can get into the pros and cons. Okay, so my very first pro is that it's easy to set up and it's easy to use. This microphone, after getting a new cable for it, which I'll cover in my cons, worked absolutely fine with XSplit, Audition, Audacity. I can't even think of another program that I use it with. Premiere, I think I recorded directly into that. Sony Vegas, I did that. It just works fantastic, especially with Skype, and it's just done such a good job. You plug it in and it just goes. That's Windows and Mac, and I'm sure Linux has a pain-free experience as well. And if it isn't, I'll test it shortly. I'll put that in the description of this video. But yeah, it's been so painless, and all you need is in the microphone itself. So if you were to buy a similar mic for about $100, let's say an SM58, you would need to buy some kind of preamp. And that's going to run you, you can buy one for as low as $30. I wouldn't recommend it, but that's just more equipment though that you need to use. Everything you need is inside, so it's uncluttered and inexpensive, just adding more value to the microphone. It's a really nice thing about it. I would say the other pro is that it's aesthetically pleasing. It just looks very nice, especially if you're a Mac user. I know one Mac fanboy who loves this microphone because it's just that nice brushed silver, and just having this set on a desk, just it's kind of a conversation piece almost. And quality obviously is a pro. It seems to do a great job being so versatile, but I'm sure you guys can already assume that. So let's get on to the dark side and cover the cons. Alright guys, so I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I did have troubles with the audio cable. Nothing wrong with the connections on the microphone itself. That's one thing I have with it. It wasn't the microphone's fault. I'm sure quality assurance is much lower for the cable than it is the actual microphone. So not much of a con there. The second con I had, or the first real con I guess you would say, is the bass. The bass, to me, is not very useful. This is probably not going to be an issue for some users out there, but the problem for me is that I bought this for PC use. I'm constantly talking into it and typing on my keyboard or clicking on my mouse. And despite the bass having these nice foam feet, the bass picks up a lot of that noise, and it makes it into the final product or the phone call, and that can annoy people. So I would say that if you're going to use this at your PC while typing, or using some kind of peripheral on your desk or something, buy a stand for it. Now it uses that 5/8 inch threaded stand, so it should be pretty easy. Those are quite cheap and you can use them for any microphone. But that leads me to another downside, is that once you screw these off, and you can take the base off completely, and then screw the base in there, if you don't have an elbow for your 5/8 stand, it looks kind of like a microphone spear, and it's a little awkward to maneuver. It's not very versatile in that way. So I'd recommend buying a simple 5/8 inch elbow for your mic stand if you're going to do that, or buy the shock mount, the spider mount for the or the Yeti series. That's going to cost you like $50 to $60, but if maneuverability is really huge for you, I recommend dropping the few extra dollars just so you can turn it a little easier. But that, again, is personal preference, and you don't necessarily need it on a mic stand. If you're doing vocals or anything, you can just completely skip that issue because you're not going to be using anything on the table or anything. Completely skip that. So the very last, I guess you would call it, con is kind of a blessing. Well, not a blessing. It's a curse and a blessing, as you would say. It picks up significantly more noise than other microphones that I have, other cardioid microphones that I have. Now, that's nice because you don't have to be in a very specific spot for that mic to pick up your voice. You can kind of move around a little bit. You're not as restricted. That's obviously not a good thing because you're picking up more information than you need. Your signal-to-noise ratio becomes closer. So that, I would say, is counterbalanced in the fact that it does so many other things. Bidirectional, omnidirectional stereo. It has so many capabilities. So being able to do all those and doing a cardioid mode, it sounds pretty decent, is actually a plus. It really depends what you're using this microphone for. So that would be the only last con I have. I guess we'll end the video, guys. Thanks for watching. This is my very first video, so I'm a little nervous, excited to see how the reception is, if there's reception. Let me know what you thought of this video and the microphone. And again, I'm Jameson, and I'll catch you next time.